Donatello's David was the first freestanding nude statue since classical antiquity. In medieval times, the body was seen as the path to corruption. Therefore, people focused on the soul. However, this statue celebrated the body by using a relaxed pose, unlike the stiff statues carved into pillars seen previously in many pieces. This very relaxed pose in art terms is called contrapposto, which allows people who view this piece to envision this statue getting up and walking on its own, rather than being glued stiff to a pillar or wall. This piece brought the love for the body and the for the body back to the ancient Romans and Greeks, while also displaying an obscure sensuality within certain details of the statue. Such details include David only wearing a hat and boots, and the wing on Goliath's helmet pressing against David's inner thigh. This piece was made from a technique called lost wax casting, which had been used by ancient Greeks and Romans, but not at this scale or level of detail. This was the first statue of this size to be made with the lost wax casting method, and through this statue, other artists began to re-explore the art of this medium. While the technique is called lost wax casting, the statue itself is made from mostly bronze, copper, and a bit of tin for added strength. Using wax and plaster mold, the artist is able to make a statue of wax and create a plaster mold of it. Then, using a flame, they melt the wax so it trickles out of the mold, and finally, they pour bronze into the mold. After that, you pour out the bronze after letting it sit in the mold for a while, which creates a hollow statue. The bronze David statue was based on the biblical story of David and Goliath. The people of Florence associated the battle between David and Goliath with the war they fought with Milan. Both Florence and David were underdogs, yet they both defeated their enemies. However, in the story, David was helped by God. Therefore, the people of Florence also believed that they were favored by God and He brought them victory. One detail in the sculpture that supports this theory about the piece shows David standing on the head of Goliath, carrying a beat-up sword and a rock. David used the rock to hit Goliath with a slingshot that felled the giant. Then, he used Goliath's own battle-worn sword to sever the giant's head. Therefore, in the piece, while the sword represents the war and violence Milan brought Florence, the rock represents the peace and culture the people of Florence treasured. Similarly, the head of Goliath and the battle helmet he wears represents the cruel Duke of Milan, while David's carefree pose and soft hat represents the end of the war and peace. It is believed that the sculpture was commissioned by the Medici family and was kept as a centerpiece in the garden in their mansion in Florence. The piece was displayed so when a person enters the mansion, they are able to see the bronze David through an archway in the wall dividing the main entryway and the garden. However, after the Medici family was run out of town, the piece became open to the public. It is believed that the Medici family especially resonated with David because he grew up to be a very wise and benevolent ruler, and because of that, the Medici family decided to take his story and make it a familial symbol as well. Currently, the piece is being kept in the Bargello in Florence, in a vaulted room which was used for judicial practices. The building is now an art museum.